What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we have got another live fantasy football mock draft for you with a little bit of a twist because this will be a zero wide receiver mock draft. Going to be testing out the strategy as always. Now, we're going to be doing this here on Fantasy Pros 12-team full PPR setup, where we will have the 5th overall pick. So in a good position to test out this strategy, our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. That's pretty much all you need to know so we can get into it. As always, while we wait, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. And let us hear it in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. What do you think about the strategy? What are your thoughts on the squad? And also, we are excited to announce that the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide is now available for purchase. All you have to do is go to alldaypigskin.com to purchase it at a great price, everything you could want. From top 150 overall player ranking, standard and PPR formats, individual player bios, projections, tiers, along with general fantasy advice. All the details in the description, so make sure to check it out there. But with that being said, let's get into this draft. The first 4 picks have been made, and we're sitting in a good spot here. So, obviously, with this being a zero wide receiver draft strategy, the whole idea is to go running back heavy in the first several rounds. Now, I've done regular mock drafts where I go, the first 3 rounds running backs, and I'm not even trying to follow a set strategy. So here, to make it a little bit more difficult, I'm going to actually try to go 4 running backs in the first 4 rounds to really take it to an extreme and see what we can do afterwards in the 5th, 6th rounds with pass catchers, because, I do think the wide receiver group is pretty deep. But this is a 12-team draft, so it really is going to put us to the test a little bit. Either way, though, as is the case with all of these kind of quote-unquote draft strategy videos, I'm going to take you through what I would normally do versus what I'm doing here in this specific breakdown. But here in the first round, I'm not going to be doing anything that I wouldn't in a normal draft. I'm going to be going running back. I always say, the first 5, 6 picks, especially when you have guys like Najee Harris, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, the list goes on and on. You should be going running back. As much as I like Cooper Kupp, no. The answer here to me is going to be either Derrick Henry or Najee Harris. But again, since it's full PPR scoring, I'm going to give the slight edge to Najee Harris. I like the upside there a little bit more so. No, I don't think he's going to get as many receptions as he did last year, but I still think it'll be relatively higher than that of Derrick Henry. And now here, I would say rather quickly, you're going to see why we don't necessarily go with a zero wide receiver strategy every single draft, or really why it's not the best idea to go into a draft with a set strategy, because it can lead you to pass up on better players and potentially reach when you can get the guy that you reach for a little bit later. But this is what I mean. So as an example, right now, I'd probably go with a CeeDee Lamb or a Keenan Allen here, considering this is full PPR scoring, because the way this thing broke, I'd say we got a little bit unlucky, but honestly, pretty realistic of what you might see in Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Kamara, Swift, Barkley in the first round. I was hoping he could make it to us, even though I'm a fan of him. I think that, the consensus hasn't quite raised him up their draft boards as of yet, but he definitely has top 10 running back upside. Then Joe Mixon, Kelsey a little bit too early, Fournette a little bit too early at the 2-1-1, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones. Was really hoping he would fall to us. That's not the case. Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, and then Nick Chubb. So right now here, like I said before, zero wide receiver strategy, so we're going to running back. That should be, the easy part to guess. The question is, which running back do we go to? So what I'm going to do at this point in time, I'm not that high on Javonte Williams, not that high on James Conner. I'm going to go with David Montgomery here and then hope Ezekiel Elliott can fall to us in that 3rd round. There's a better chance that happens, if we went Zeke now as opposed to Montgomery later, depending on how you have them on your rankings. But with that in mind, I'm going Montgomery here. I just don't trust Javonte Williams. He's in a running back by committee, whether people want to admit that or not. So that's why for me it was Montgomery there at the running back position. Again, I would have gone wide receiver at that point in time because you see it. Zeke is still available here, and I could have gotten a really good wide receiver in the second round, a wide receiver one, but instead we're going to continue this trend. Let's see. Honestly, not too many running backs have gone after I selected David Montgomery, just two running backs, Javonte Williams and then Breece Hall. Way too early for Breece Hall. I've said that numerous times. I'm not investing that high of a pick on a guy on the Jets offense. Otherwise, you see CeeDee Lamb, Mike Evans, Mark Andrews, Tyreek, A.J. Brown, Keenan Allen. So now, again, since we're going by our strategy, we're going to go running back here. But otherwise, I'm looking at wide receivers, and I don't mind Deebo Samuel. I don't mind Michael Pittman. So those would be the names that I would be highly considering here. Instead, it's going to be a running back, and it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. I was contemplating him in the second round. I'm going with him in the third round here. And again, you can ignore all these kind of, prompts by Fantasy Pros here. Oh, this is a reach. That's going to happen when you're doing a set strategy. It's going to be, reaches probably after the first or second round. So for that reason, I'm not too worried about that. Now here, if you guys have been watching my mock drafts up until now, you know who I really, really like out of the group of running backs that are still left. It's Travis Etienne, and it's not even close. So he's going to be the next pick there. Again, if James Robinson somehow miraculously plays this season, then we can adjust those rankings. But as of right now, that isn't necessarily the case. Other picks that have gone here, quickly touching on them, Cam Akers, 306, way too early. Running back by committee there. There's going to need to be injuries in order for him to be the true workhorse. Deebo Samuel at the 307, great value. Josh Allen, 308. Deontay Johnson, James Conner, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman. Then you see Kittle, Michael Thomas, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, DJ Moore. Again, here, I would be going wide receiver. Like, you have three running backs already, pretty good depth, only one flex. I'd be going wide receiver because you need to hit that position hard. But instead, we're going to get one last running back. And since I've done this for 4 rounds, well, you better believe that I'm not probably going to be drafting another running back for the rest of this draft, which at least it's good to not have to worry about that. Let's quickly pull up our roster so you guys are reminded of what we have. We have got Najee, Montgomery, Zeke, and then Travis Etienne. So now I was really hoping like Rashad Bateman would fall to us, but he went at the 411, a little bit early considering that guys that I really like in this group, Marquise Brown, Mike Williams, Allen Robinson are all available. The thing is, I feel as if, even though I like all three of them, I'm only going to be able to take one, not two of them. I don't think a second one is going to drop to us. So the question is, who do you have ranked the highest? And looking at it, for me, it's Allen Robinson in a PPR format. I think he's the safest play as well. So for that reason, I'm going to go with him. If it wasn't if it wasn't Allen Robinson, then I would go with probably Mike Williams, then Marquise Brown in that order. But I'm going to go get my guy here that I think is criminally undervalued and then take it from there. So let's see if we get lucky here, if somebody that we really like falls to us, but I doubt it. There goes Mike Williams. So yeah, Mike Williams and Marquise Brown both were drafted, but that was to be expected. So the guys that were also taken in these next 2 rounds, Metcalf, Sanders, Marquise Brown, Juju, Amari Cooper, Elijah Mitchell, A.J. Dillon, way too early for Dillon in my opinion, Lamar, Kyler, Darren Waller, Mike Williams, Dalton Schultz, Jalen Hurts, T.J. Hawkinson. And, while we could go tight end or quarterback, I think the fact that, we've ignored the wide receiver position so much and it's so important kind of puts us behind the 8 ball there. So we need to address it. And here, I'm probably going to go with Jerry Jeudy, honestly, or Darnell Mooney. The thing that I don't like is, even though I'm very high on Darnell Mooney, I already have David Montgomery, and I just don't trust the Bears offense all that much to have 2 Bears players on my squad. Like, I know this is going to be a bad team, And I know from time to time they're going to have bad games, period, offensively. I just don't believe in Justin Fields. So, with that in mind, I'm probably going to go with Jerry Jeudy here and, you know, kind of invest in that new Denver offense with Russell Wilson there. If Darnell Mooney is available for me here in the next round, great. I'll go and draft him. If not, though, we're gonna have to look elsewhere because we still only have two wide receivers. At this point, you know, the top tight ends and the top quarterbacks are off the board, so I'm not really even looking in that direction, even though I could go Dallas Goedert because afterwards there is a drop off in tight end. So that's something to think about. Quarterback, I'm not worried about quarterback. If I was going wide receiver here, honestly, I'd probably go with a high upside guy. This is that point in time where you want to do this. DeAndre Hopkins, once he comes back from his suspension, could turn into a very nice option. I like guys like Alan Lazard. So honestly, what I'm going to do right now is I'll take Dallas Goedert first to get that tight end because afterwards, you know, you look at the tight ends, Freiermuth, Knox, Gesicki, Kolkmet. Again, I like Kolkmet, but I've already got David Montgomery. I don't want to invest in this Bears offense that much. So let's go with Dallas Goedert at this point in time and at least get that tight end position taken care of so we don't have to worry about that later on where there is a big tier drop off. Now, looking at our next available options, I'm looking at wide receivers again. And with these wide receivers, let's see what's taken place here and what's available. So we can still get a guy that we really like in an Alan Lazard. I think, honestly, that's what I'm going to do at this point in time. Looking at the draft board to see what kind of happened since our last selection. You saw Matthew Stafford, Devonta Smith, James Cook, Brady, Dak Prescott, Lockett, Cordero Patterson, Gabe Davis, DeAndre Hopkins. I was hoping Hopkins would fall to us. That doesn't happen, but it is what it is. So now let's kind of just round out this squad. We've kind of, you know, at this point, gotten the core of the team taken care of. So at this point in time, it's just a matter of getting some more depth at wide receiver, getting a quarterback. So I'm going to go with Russell Gage. I'm a big fan. I think at least until we know more about Chris Godwin, he can be a steady producer for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, at least for the start of the season. Then maybe you sell him or do whatever you want. I also don't mind Michael Gallup. I think he can be a decent value coming back from injury. The question is, you know, when will he be ready? So that's something to think about there. Quarterbacks, I'm probably going to have only one quarterback. Who do you like out of Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Derek Carr? Look, if you could tell me that Trey Lance was going to be the starter all season long right now with 100% certainty, great. I'd be drafting him as my quarterback. But that's not the case, so I can't do that. I'm probably going to go with Derek Carr and then just go Michael Gallup right now and then get our Derek Carr afterwards. And, you know, I honestly might go two quarterbacks just to be safe. So here, this is what we'll do. We'll draft the high upside guy in Trey Lance first, and then we can get Derek Carr. At least I hope we can get Derek Carr. We'll see unless something crazy happens. But no, we're going to be able to nab Derek Carr here as our second quarterback to get, I think, that more stable option. I think him with Devontae Adams in town is going to be tremendous. So I'm curious to see what our draft grade is. Let's see. I wouldn't be shocked if it's pretty low. So we get a C minus. Again, not too shocked, but breaking this thing down, we went a 0 wide receiver strategy. So what we decided to do is running back only in the first 4 rounds. Najee Harris, David Montgomery, Zeke, and then Travis Etienne. And we followed that up by going wide receiver heavy. Allen Robinson, Jerry Jeudy, Lazard, Gage. Also added Dallas Goedert at tight end. We got Michael Gallup. So a lot of high upside guys that maybe might have some question marks on the bench, but could potentially pan out and be starters. And then for quarterback, just because we had the option to do so, we went with 2 guys, Lance and Derek Carr. Carr being a little bit of a higher floor, but also high ceiling, and then Trey Lance being very, very high ceiling, much lower floor. But either way, I think we're good at the quarterback position. Would I give this, draft a C minus? I think in some ways we got unlucky with what guys were available to us, but either way, I wouldn't go C minus. I'd probably go C plus, because anytime you go with a set strategy, again, I think you minimize the way you can kind of build the best roster. And that's why I always say be careful with these strategies. Not to say that you should never do them. And that's why, again, we're presenting this example so that you guys can potentially use it and get something out of it. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Again, make sure to check out the 2022 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Everything you can want at a great value. Details in the description. And in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.